That's a cool Toyota mic. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Tonight we are in the shop working on the LJ. It's been kind of giving me some issues lately. I've noticed whenever I went to turn the key, it would just be completely dead. So went and replaced the battery. That didn't stop it. So it's got to be the starter. So that's what we're working on tonight. So my plan here lately was just to start cleaning up my shop, but I can't stop fixing my vehicles. It seems like every time I get a break or want to do something, something starts tearing up. But that's just the life I chose when I wanted to get a Jeep. So here is the starter on the Inline 6 4.0, and this is a 2005 Jeep LJ Rubicon, and you can see I've got a lot of oil leakage. That's probably why the starter hasn't been working properly, but anyway, we're gonna get it out. So before I lifted the Jeep up, I did go ahead and disconnect the battery. It's always the first thing you want to do before you start with anything electronic on a vehicle, especially a starter. That's how you fry wrenches. Alright, so hopefully y'all can see this terrible camera angles because the exhaust is right in the way. So I'm gonna do this the best I can. But this top bolt right there, that is a 13. And this one right there is a 15. And then I got to undo that wire right there. And then there's another one on the back. The bottom one was a bear for some reason to get out. But I got everything loosened up. So now I'll just get all the wires off. Alright, so on the back side of the starter, which is the front of the transmission, you have another 15 miller bolt right there. Alright, so I got that bolt on the rear out, so now the starter should slide right out. Just like that. So something else that I like to do is clean the mating surfaces up just with an old rag or something. This is definitely nasty under here. Look at that. You can also peek in there, make sure you don't have anything weird going on. Looks good to me. So whenever I was trying to find a starter, I went to Rock Auto, and I'll show you what I got. I'm sick of magnets. Oh, that's a cool Toyota mic. But this is the one I went with right here. It was recommended on the Wrangler forums. That's the part number right there, just in case you're curious. All right. Check this out. So here's the starter. It looks correct. So these are the two starters side by side, that way y'all can see old versus new. This one looks like the factory starter. This Jeep has got around 150,000 miles on it, so it's definitely time. But I just like to make sure everything looks the same and looks good to me. And I will mention, if you hadn't already figured out, that this Jeep is the 6-speed transmission. It's not an automatic transmission. Alright, so now I'll be sliding the new starter up right into place. And on this 15mm bolt on the bottom, I did put a touch of anti-seize just because it was so aggravating trying to get out. And I put a little bit on the bolt up top also. A little anti-seize goes a long ways. But now getting these tightened up. So now that I have those tightened up, I will be connecting the power source. All you do is pop that right on there. Sorry, I'm trying to do this one-handed. And there's literally no room for a camera and a hand. Then take this bad boy. Now I'll just tighten, I'll make sure that's tight too, but I'll tighten both of these 13mm up and we'll be done with this. Alright, so I got all this buttoned up, got everything torqued down to the way it's supposed to be, and now we'll move on to the hoses. So on my last trip to Uwharrie, I noticed when I got back home that my line to my Hydro Assist had been rubbing my drag link, and you see my fix there. Maybe you can see my fix better now, but you might say to yourself, dude, those zip ties are solid, but they're not. So I'm going to be replacing this line right here and probably go ahead and replace this one while I'm at it. Super aggravating. All right, so I brought the Jeep back down, that way I can kind of keep the mess under control. So what my plan is to remove this hose and cap it up, so that way I don't lose any of that precious fluid that's in all my PSC components, because that stuff is super expensive. But you can see, let me get the light. Yeah, right there. So I'll be taking those off, capping them, just trying to keep the mess to a minimum. That way I don't have to fill up the entire system with that very expensive fluid. So I got my 11/16 wrench. I got my caps ready. And let's see what we can do. So we'll be taking off this one. Alright, that's not bad. It's not bad. It's not bad. This one right here was already kind of loose. It's mildly concerning. Well, let's see. All right. And it's supposed to be purple. So I'll show you the damage right there. Hope you can see that on camera. But it just rubbed through the rubber. To be honest with you, if my kids didn't ride in this Jeep as much as they do, I'd probably just let this ride for a little bit longer. But anything that my kids ride in, if there's any start of an issue, I go ahead and fix it. I don't know, I guess I'm just like a worrisome dad. But let's see if we can get this new line on. So I went ahead and put the cap on the ram also, just because you really don't want any type of foreign contaminants inside of this system. Any moisture, dust, anything like that. So I just played it safe, went ahead and put the cap on even though it wasn't leaking. So I got this new hose on, and I did make a complete mess under here because it was very difficult trying to tighten that fitting on up there when fluid was pouring out of it. Didn't think that through. But so now I'll take this one off, and that one right here. We'll take that one off and replace it with the new one. Get my bucket under there to catch the fluid. Yeah. So now I'm going to take the cap off and go ahead and get my hose on and get it situated. All right, so I got the top one on. Bucket back where I want it. And let's see, hold on. Right here. So before I put the Jeep back on its own weight, what I'm going to do, while the tires have no weight on them, I'm going to start bleeding the system. Because I'm running the PSC hydraulic assist, I'm using the Royal Purple Max EZ. I got my reservoir right here, also from PSC. Put that right there, and it is probably empty. So what I'm going to start doing is adding one of these at a time until it fills up, and then I'm going to start shaking the steering wheel and watch the air bubbles come. Now that I've cycled the steering to the left and to the right all the way, what I'm going to do is connect the battery back up and actually test the starter, and then we will cycle the steering while it's running with the weight off of it. So as you saw me standing there keeping my eye on this reservoir, what I was doing was I was watching until all the bubbles stopped. I did it about 5 or 6 times, going all the way driver, all the way passenger, until there was no bubbles. And then I did it probably 3 or 4 more times. So I'm going to call that bled. So the only thing that I have left to do now is I'm going to take some big zip ties and just kind of tuck them the hoses closer together. That way it doesn't interfere with anything like the drag link. I really wanted to address this bent sway bar link that I have in the front. Probably do that in the next video on this. But anyway, I really appreciate y'all watching. If you liked anything that you saw in this video, I would really appreciate a like and a subscribe. You're more than welcome to check out my other videos. Pretty soon I'll be uploading some stuff on the Cherokee Chief that I'm building with the 5.3, and a little sneak peek getting the 1-ton parts together. So stay tuned for that. But anyway, thanks for watching. We will see you on the next one.